Hi, I welcome you all to the Confidence Zone of India. In our last video, we spoke about personality development and confidence building. And in this particular video, we would concentrate on public speaking. So what we have done, for simplicity, we have divided public speaking, or just for the sake speaking, scenarios into three situations. The first one is informal. Example, your mom says, enough of television, please have your dinner now. And you say, no. Situation 2, formal. Your boss in office says, did you complete that project? And you say, no. See the difference? The third situation is abnormal. Yes, you heard it right, abnormal. So this is a situation wherein you realize that you're not comfortable from within. So how to handle these situations? Because this is the main point, as in which would recognize your ability to speak in public. So yes, that's the main point of discussion here. So what we have done, we would request you, the first thing, that whenever you find yourself in such a situation, just note down your shortcomings. Just note them down for your future reference, because we would tell you certain points, which would help you to overcome those or shortcomings, I would say. So the next section of this video is the symptoms. Yes, what are the symptoms? Now, what we have done here, for you to understand it better, we have divided the symptoms into two parts. The first part is external. So external symptoms, when you speak in public. So an obvious symptom is shaking of legs and hands. You realize if you're reading out something, then you suddenly realize, oops, at one point of time, your hands start shaking. And you would have come across a situation. And also at the same time, your legs also start behaving abnormally. They also start sort of shaking. So that's an external symptom, as we call it. Another external symptom is, when you're trying to speak in public and you suddenly make an eye contact with the person sitting in front of you, you suddenly go blank. I'm sure it must have happened with, few. Now, from external, we'll move to internal. So, internal symptoms, as I call it. So, it's the abrupt rise in the heartbeat, and also at the same time, you become breathless. So, these are the internal symptoms, and we also spoke about external symptoms. So, what I would suggest here are like few solutions to these problems and other problems which I could not sort of classify as external or internal. So when I talk about solution, again I would divide it into two sections. I would say short-term solution, I would say long-term solution. Because for instance, if you're watching this video and you have to make a presentation tomorrow morning, the long-term solution may not work for you, but the short-term might. So I start with the short-term solution. So the first one would be, don't make an eye contact. So if you start a presentation, just make sure that you concentrate on a point which could be somebody's forehead maybe to begin with, or some other point between two people sitting next to each other. There is a point you can concentrate on. So that would be the initial way by which you can make sure that you can just start your presentation and you're not being distracted. And now the second point would be, start different topic, which you feel you're comfortable with. Now, for instance, if you have to make a presentation on an XYZ topic, but you know that, okay, XYZ topic is something you're not comfortable with, start with ABC. Just build a sort of a rapport, with the audience or with the person sitting in front of you. Just build a rapport. Just get to that platform wherein you feel that you are comfortable, and then go ahead, hit the nail on the head. So that's point number 2. Point number 3, prepare well. Have your cue cards handy, just make sure that yes, you don't forget anything at that point of time, and you're not embarrassed. So just prepare well, make all list of all the points. If it's a presentation, a deck, then obviously you would have everything on the PowerPoint maybe, that would be easy. But if not, then just make sure that you have a cue card with you, wherein you just make sure that, okay, this point is what you need to speak on. So that's how I would suggest to prepare well and have some clues with you. Point number 4 would be use a dais, a table, or any object. Place it between you and the audience. So if you place it within yourself and the audience, you will realize that, okay, if your hands are shaking, if your legs are shaking. So yes, that's a sort of a short-term solution, just to make sure that the audience doesn't notice this, that okay, this is what the problem, he is not confident, she is not confident, or he or she is not able to, handle the crowd situation. Just use a dais, just keep your hands on the dais, reading out speech or whatever has to be done. So yes, just make sure that the audience doesn't see your body language, that you are nervous or you are shaky. Because once you sort of build the rapport with the audience, within 5 or 10 minutes, then the legs, the shaking of legs and then the shaking of hands would be better than what it was when you had begun your speech. So yep, that's what we have to say about the short-term solutions. Now we talk about the long-term solutions. So this is something that you have to practice on a regular basis. That's the only way by which I would say you can probably come out of this sort of a situation wherein you will feel a confident person in terms of speaking in public. The first one is the pranayama exercise. You must have, or few of you would have seen on TV. It's also known as Anulom Vilom. So if you sort of breathe in and breathe out like this, and you can watch it on YouTube, Anulom Vilom as we call it. So you become more stable from within. So you are ready to face any sort of situation, because the inner stability, the level of inner stability would dramatically increase within few weeks if you practice this constantly in the morning, empty stomach. Second point, long-term solution. Audience, they are friendly. Yes, audience will be friendly, and make no mistake about it, unless you are a XYZ party supporter and you're going into an area where ABC party has its stronghold, then yes, audience may not be friendly. But in every other situation, if you're presenting to a certain set of people and if you're going for an interview, they would be friendly. They wouldn't be all aggressive, they would be friendly. Just don't panic. Or just break that psychological barrier that how the audience react. So audiences would be friendly. Third point, and the main point, the best point, is play the trump card. Yes, I repeat, play the trump card. The people sitting in the audience do not have a clue most of the time what your content would be. They do not know what you would be speaking about, and that is one thing you can sort of cash on, because you can improvise. You can just have the cue cards handy, and you can just have the points handy, and you just read out the point, just make up your sentences and deliver. So that's a trump card. Audiences don't know the content, so they wouldn't judge you on that. They would judge you on the way you're presenting, on the way you're trying to convince them. So play the trump card, and trust me, it would help. So that's all we have for in this video, and do subscribe to the Confidence Zone of India channel. We'll upload more videos, and I hope you have a nice day, evening or night, whichever applicable. Thank you.